A new breed has arrived in Australian motorsport and already made quite an impact. Fast fours, market-relevant turbocharged hot hatches with a diversely talented mix of drivers. The conditions, well, they've been perfect. Glorious weather all weekend here at Sydney Motorsport Park, and that continues here on Sunday. Hi everybody, Greg Rust and Aaron Noonan with you for our coverage of the Car Sales TCR Australia Series. We welcome viewers watching on SBS here in Australia and those tuning in internationally online. Noons yesterday, one of the long-time members of the Australian motorsport scene in the last 20 years, Jason Bright, 98 Bathurst winner. He created a special piece of history, didn't he?
Yeah, he became the first ever winner in Car Sales TCR Australia, qualified on the front row of the grid in his Volkswagen Golf GTI, nailed the jump, round the outside, took the lead and was never headed. Built that little margin at the start and he sat on that cushion all the way through to break what's been a 5-year winning drought for Jason Bright. The last time he won a race in any category was at Pukekohe way back in 2014 in supercars. So it was a very happy guy when he got that trophy yesterday.
Lots of learnings, lots of number crunching after the opening race yesterday, and they'll take that into this afternoon's action. I think when you look at the fastest laps from the top 10, they were actually pretty close, weren't they?
There wasn't much in it between the different brands of cars, but it was the different types of the parts of the race that they set those times in. And that's one of the interesting things. A lot of these drivers have experience in categories that they're the same cars, in Carrera Cup or in supercars where they're similar basis. They're trying to get their head around the fact that other cars are strong at other parts of the track and other parts of the race. So we saw some cars like the Alfa Romeo come on very strongly in the second half of the race yesterday, and we'll get that again today.
It's tailor-made for those of you watching live on SBS today. It's something of a double helping, only a short gap in between. It's going to be intense, isn't it?
Well, there's no chance to really muck around because there's such a small gap between races 2 and 3. There's not much time to stop and think and debrief and download and get yourself sorted again. If there's some damage from race 2 or some mechanical problems, not much time to get them sorted, to get them back out for race 3. So there's a bit of an onus on behaving in race 2 and letting it all go for race 3.
Race 1, I guess you could say, was just let's take it easy. It's the opening race of the season, a brand new class. Expect those gloves to come off today. Here's Cameron Vanderdugan.
Thank you very much, Greg Rust. Now, there's a lot of numbers being thrown around, Jason Bright, about how long since your last win, but the most important one is it's only been one day now. Congratulations on yesterday.
Yeah, thanks, mate. It was a bit of a drought there, but I didn't race last year, so you can't very much, so you can't really count all those days. But yeah, no, it was good to get the first win in TCR Australia, and I think as the year goes on, it's going to get more competitive, so get that one out of the way while we can.
Now, with your Volkswagen yesterday, you started in position number 2, got the race win. You start from pole today. The big question I've got for you is, did you expect to be that far in front at the end of the race?
I mean, I could see there was a pretty good battle going on between Tony and Will, and I was hoping they were going to hold themselves up a bit. And it looked like a good little battle. Gave me a little bit of a break in that first couple of laps, which is sometimes all you need to sort of hold that gap. But it all came down to sort of turn 1. There was a good battle into turn 2. Hopefully we can make as good a start today.
All right, good luck today. We're going to jump across to the man that was on pole yesterday, starts at a position number 2 today. Now, Tony, we went for a lap yesterday and you told me you just didn't get your start right. Are you confident that you've got the start ready to go today?
Definitely not confident, but that's the aim. I'm going to try and get this car off the line a little bit better than yesterday. We're on the cleaner side of the road today as well, so if I can get the launch right, theoretically we should be able to jump right here, and that's the plan. Try and lead into turn 1 and see how we go from there.
Running with Wall Racing, they've been well known in sports car racing. Now, great to see them in the Car Sales TCR Australia Championship. Honda on board as well, and we've got representatives from Honda Australia here on the grid too.
Yeah, we've got some of the Honda family here this weekend, checking it all out, seeing what it's all about. So it was nice to put on pole yesterday and, repay some of their faith they've put into the team by coming on board this year. So, it's great to have their support here this weekend, and, hopefully we can get another result today.
Thank you very much. Let's go to Greg Rust.
Cheers.
It's a great feeling on the grid here. There are representatives from various automotive manufacturers in this country, and as you can appreciate, this weekend is a very important milestone for the administrators of this class and of course the governing body of Australian motorsport respectively. I am with from CAM's Eugenia Rocker and Matt Braid from the Australian Racing Group. This was huge. I mean, a lot of work's gone into this.
Oh, look, you think back to when we first started talking to the owners of this category and where we are today. It's been a fantastic effort from ARG, from Matt in particular. CAM's is particularly proud of the first up showing. The crowd's great, the vibe is fantastic, the cars look great, the grid is good, so we can't ask for anything more than what we've already seen today.
Matt, I know when you addressed the drivers in the briefing on Friday, you were conscious of the fact that we've got 17 brand new cars. Let's make sure we have a great weekend. But you get the feeling these final 2 races of the weekend, they might just do the driving thing, won't they?
Today's a different day, absolutely. So through day 1 yesterday, really good race. Looking forward to today. The guys and girls are more used to the cars as other teams. So today will be a really good event, race 2 and race 3. Looking forward to it.
You and I spoke about this extensively yesterday, but a great prize pool, a real incentive for this 7-round series, I should say, which takes us right through the Shannons Nationals.
Yeah, trophy and a check is always well worthwhile. So we're very keen to see how that changes the dynamic of how the guys and girls actually race today and every subsequent round from here on.
Well done to you both. Enjoy the day's racing.
Thanks, Rossi.
There they are, Eugenia Rocker and Matt Brader, respectively. We might try and see if we can grab a quick driver very quickly before we go back to Cam. Here's Dylan O'Keefe putting the balaclava on. You said to us just a short time ago that you've had a rethink on tyre pressures and things like that. Can you challenge for a podium today?
Yeah, I think we've made some really good improvements with the car overnight. I mean, the guys from Ashley Seward Motorsport are doing a fantastic job with the Alpha, and I think we've got the package to contend for a podium today.
Get focused. Thank you. Cam?
Thank you very much, Greg Rust. I've actually got a plethora of drivers around me at the moment, but the man that set the action early yesterday, Will Brown, I'll grab you first. You sent it, just didn't quite come off early on.
I just didn't send it hard enough, did I? But no, it'll be good today. We had good early pace and struggled towards the end, but we'll have another crack and see how we go.
Enjoying being on board with the Hyundai?
Yeah, loving it. The car's awesome, and obviously they've been up the front most of the weekend, so I think we've got a good car.
All right, well, let's go and have a chat to a couple of guys behind you as well. Now, from our Kiwi contingent, Andre Heimgartner, I spoke to you yesterday. You're really enjoying driving these cars, aren't you?
Yeah, they're good. We're having a few dramas, so I think we've fixed the gear shifts now, so I've got big plans for lap 1, so just watch your screens.
So big plans, can you let us in? No one's, just we've got SBS, live, free-to-air all around Australia, people all over the world. How hard are you going to send it?
Well, just watch, you'll see.
Alex, are you just going to hook on to the back and see what happens in front?
Yeah, well, if you're not first, you're last, so we've got to get up there. Will's just come back to his roots to visit us at the back of the pack, so we'll try to catch up to him.
I'm looking forward to this one. Now, Nath, you've actually had a bit of experience. We saw you out in your car at the Grand Prix as well. Has that helped you in any way this weekend?
Oh, it didn't help me on the start yesterday, so got to get that launch control off the line. We had good pace at the start and middle of the race, just fell off the tyres at the rear, so we've tweaked it up overnight, so same as the other boys, we're just going to send it first lap and see how it goes.
Okay, we've got four drivers sending it. I'm really looking forward to this one. Put your helmets on, guys, and we're going to go get racing. Good luck.
Oh, Cam, they are the mailmen, aren't they, of the TCR Australia Series. They're going to go and do plenty of sending. They're going to have to do some serious sending to catch up to those cars that will start from the front row of the grid. We've got a field of 17 ready to race in race 2 of the TCR Australia Series. We mentioned earlier 3 female drivers in the field this weekend. One of them very well known to rally fans, Molly Taylor, with her circuit racing debut.
For your motor racing life, you've been used to having a voice in your head, a navigator, a co-driver. We don't have that anymore, do we? Are you looking forward to this?
I'm looking forward to it, definitely. I mean, it's a big jump in the deep end, so I'm realistic about that, but it's an incredible opportunity, so I think you'd be mad not to give it a go and take it by the scruff of the neck.
No Scandinavian flicks, in a perfect world, no dirt. I mean, what's it been like?
Yeah, everything's different, and I think there's obviously an element of car control that you can bring across from rallying, but in terms of the driving style and all those things, it's completely different. We can left foot brake in these cars, which is great because that's what we do in our rally car, so that at least is one thing that I haven't had to adjust to, but just adjusting to the grip levels that are obviously a lot higher here and how to maximise that requires a different type of driving than if you tried that on the gravel, you'd be off on the first corner, so I need to get my head around that. It's fantastic to come in with basically no experience and to come into a team like Kelly Racing, who obviously have a wealth of experience, so there's a lot of people I can draw from, and it's going to be really crucial, I think, in speeding up the learning process.
You've been very much at the forefront of the whole women in motorsport in this country, whether they're in the front line like you or people working behind the scenes, and there should be a moment to pause and applaud the involvement of girls, of women in this code, shouldn't there?
Oh, it's incredible, and it's growing every day with the women that are already involved, but then also with the Dare to Be Different program and just being out on rallies, the number of really young girls that are now coming out and having a really vested interest in it, and that's something that they're at school in grade 1 and 2 saying that that's the path they want to take. So I think that's where we're seeing a huge change and huge growth, and it's going to be a couple of years till we really reap the benefits of that. But I think it's it's definitely a new wave's coming.
Enjoy it this weekend. We're really looking forward to it. We hope you have a great year.
Thank you very much.
The grid being cleared here at Sydney Motorsport Park. Aaron Noonan and Greg Russ with you as we get set for this second race in the opening weekend of the Car Sales TCR Australia Series. The cars are lined up and ready to go. Let's recap how they finished yesterday and how they start for race 2. Jason Bright, the winner. He starts from pole in the Volkswagen. Tony D'Alberto second in the Honda. Will Brown rounded out the podium in the Hyundai. Dylan O'Keefe fourth in the Alfa Romeo. The Dutchman Rick Breukers P5 on board the Audi. Greg, 5 different cars in the top 5 spots. That's what TCR's all about.
I love it. And 7 different marques represented, if you will, in the top 10. And we had 8 in the top 10 in practice on Friday. So there's lots of variety as we take a closer look at our field of play for the weekend. Sydney Motorsport Park, the Gardner GP circuit, the traditional layout that we've known for more than 20 years. It was once the home of the Australian Motorcycle Grand Prix, and that number, 200 kilometres an hour into turn 1, we've actually seen them get above that at the trap noon, some of them up around 220. The lap times from these cars, very impressive. 1 minute 34s yesterday in the race and in qualifying.
They are real pocket rockets. Front wheel drive, 350 horsepower, up to 2 litre turbocharged engines. 3.9 kilometres. Sydney Motorsport Park. It is the place to be today as we get set for this second race. It will be over 16 laps. Jason Bright starting on pole alongside Tony D'Alberto. One little clean-up from yesterday. We did have one post-race penalty from race 1. Nathan Morecambe, who we saw earlier in the number 11 Hyundai, 5-second time penalty for contact with Michael Armand. Moved him back 1 spot in the final results. Chris Pither has a damaged windscreen on this Renault. It was damaged by debris yesterday. They don't have a spare because it's a brand new car to the country. They've tried through Renault dealers around Sydney, haven't been able to get any, but it has been cleared as safe and able to race in this one. Chelsea Angelo on board the Holden Astra. Her engineer is probably more used to being in race cars. It's Todd Kelly, co-owner of Kelly Racing. He's been calling the shots for Chelsea this weekend.
Some great mix of people on the grid there before, from sponsors that are associated with this new venture. Obviously, some executive from different manufacturers have turned up for a bit of a look. I know Tony D'Alberto said to me there are some from Honda here who are celebrating 50 years of representation in Australia, and caught up with Emma Pinwell before from Renault, who is here among some of the other Renault representatives. So nice to see them taking a bit of interest in what's happening here.
A lot of very familiar faces in the Australian motorsport and motoring landscape, keeping an eye on what happens in Car Sales TCR Australia as we get set for this second race. We should remind you that it's 40 points for a win in this race. Later on today, race 3 is worth 50. There's a little bit of an extra incentive to have a big go in that final race. Cars leaving the grid now on the warm-up lap, and the critical element here, if you've not really watched this form of racing before, they are all front-wheel drive cars. Getting the temperature into the control Michelins will be the absolute key. He will be on board with a range of cars. Let's take you through who's who. Car 37, we mentioned before, Chelsea Angelo. This is one of 4 Kelly Racing run cars, one of 2 Holden Astras that has been sourced from overseas, run by the Kellys, and down the back of the grid, James Moffat's a little bit behind the queue in the second of the Renault Megans.
They're lively, they're exciting on the opening laps, and we saw a couple of guys like Will Brown yesterday really make hay on those cold tyres. Tony D'Alberto, by contrast, had to be a little more on the defensive side, but once everything was up to temperature and he had that confidence, he was looking pretty strong. He scored the first ever points in Car Sales TCR by picking up that $1,000 check from Astron Tech, our first ever pole sitter in the sport. You get 2 points for that, but Jason Bright, of course, went on to win the race. So in championship terms, coming into this second race of 21 for the season, Bright's on top with 40, D'Alberto with 38, and Will Brown with 32. The youngster has made quite an impression in this Class 2.
He is a guy who is just successful in everything he puts his backside in. Let's take a look at the way they line up. It is the finishing order of race 1 is how they line up for race 2. Jason Bright and Tony D'Alberto, front row. Will Brown, Dylan O'Keefe, 2 young 20-somethings who are riding the game. Rick Breukers, the Dutchman, here this weekend. He was at Silverstone last weekend. He's at Sydney Motorsport Park this weekend. John Martin, the second Honda, P6. Aaron Cameron did a nice job in the Volkswagen after some contact earlier on yesterday. Went from 12th to 7th. Chris Pither, 8th. Nathan Morecambe, 1 one spot back from where he crossed the line yesterday because of that penalty. Andre Heimgartner in the Kelly Racing Run Subaru had some troubles with that car, but he looks confident that he's going to have a really big dip. Alex Rullo, Chelsea Angelo in the two Astras alongside. Alexandra Whitley did a really nice job in the second Volkswagen from the Alliance Autosport team yesterday. Molly Taylor had a spin early, but managed to get more laps in and start to feel comfortable. Michael Armand made a pit stop because they had a loose bonnet pin on that car, the third of the Hyundais that is out there from the Garth Walden Racing team, so he was delayed and finished down the back, but he should actually be one of the fast cars to work his way through. Jimmy Vernon in the Alpha, James Moffat in the Renault. They round out the 17-car field as everyone now starts to think about the start procedure, warming up the tyres, and then a lot of these cars have a launch control system that it's a bit of a process. Press this button, pull this lever, push that pedal, wait,
do the dance.
Yeah, they're doing a dance with their hands and their feet. So it's all very new to a lot of them who come from other categories where it's basically put clutch in, build revs up, dump clutch, go. So this is a little bit different for a lot of them.
And the lever for the handbrake is very similar, very reminiscent to what you might expect in the World Rally Championship. So as you say, hands, feet, it's all that coordination comes into play to execute the perfect start and all that drive. 350 horsepower. They have balance of performance measures in this category, although we've got different makes and they have different strengths, as you'll see as they race. Some have got different strengths. They're all very equal in horsepower terms. 350 horsepower, turbocharged front wheel drives. Honda was our pole sitter yesterday. To his left was race one winner, Jason Bright. So that's how they line up, a progressive grid formula, as you say.
And you can't hoard tyres in this category. For this race, you must have 2 new Michelins on your car. You can't save them all up for that final run this afternoon. So we're ready. Race 2, the opening weekend of car sales, TCR Australia. Jason Bright on pole, the Task Force Volkswagen, Tony D'Alberto, the Honda Civic Type R. 2 really experienced guys. Behind them, Will Brown and Dylan O'Keefe, 2 young guns. They're proving themselves in Super 2, in Porsche Carrera Cup, in Toyota 86s. Now they're on board in TCR. We're away to turn 1. Great jump from Will Brown, second row of the grid. The Hyundai is trying to slice his way through. But this time, Tony D'Alberto from the outside has taken the lead. The pole man, Jason Bright, back to 4.
Look at Dylan O'Keefe up into second position in the Alfa Romeo. He's had a great jump as well. So it's the Honda that leads. Up the inside comes O'Keefe, but can't get it done. Look at Brown, super late under brakes. Lots of action. Breukers goes wide in the Audi and loses about 3 places. On board now with the Renault. Smashed or damaged windscreen in yesterday's race. Look at this bit of
that's on
argy-bargy.
He said he was going to send it. He just sent it. It was turn 3 before he got sending. O'Keefe is the leader. The Alfa Romeo got the move on Tony D'Alberto at turn 2. Brown third. Right next, John Martin trying to find some room as they all sort themselves out. James Moffat has passed 3 cars in 3 corners.
Breukers trying to recover. Bright's under siege. Our pole sitter has gone back to 4th position. And look at the defence going on here from Chris Pither. Lively on those cold tyres. Round the outside comes Vernon. Vernon makes up a place there on Nathan Morecambe.
Jimmy Vernon started 16th. He is now 10th, and we've only gone half a lap, Greg. What a start from the former Toyota 86 Racing Series champ. He has hooked up top 5. Starting to move away, but they're all different cars. Alfa, Honda, Hyundai, Volkswagen, Honda. Heimgartner is 6th. The Subaru started from 10th.
Mighty stuff. And Breukers, by contrast, was in the top 5. He's dropped to 8th in that Audi. He's got a huge amount of experience in these cars on the international stage and in GT racing. It's O'Keefe that leads the way. He said to us prior to the start of the race they had a rethink about the way they pressured their tyres. He felt they didn't hit the mark yesterday. Man, it looks like they've done it perfectly for race 2.
O'Keefe with a half-second margin. 1 lap down of 16. Brown looks like he wants to have a look at turn 2 on D'Alberto. D'Alberto covers it off. They had this going yesterday, these two. They fought for 5 or 6 laps, so Brown goes the long way. He goes the long way at 2 because it's the inside for 3. That's what he's done. He's still got overlap. He's still in the gap. We jump on board with the Honda, and it's going to keep on going. Look at the rearview mirror. He's still there. He's still there. Now he has to force back in. That's done. It's let Dylan O'Keefe in that Alfa skip away.
Breukers feeling the pressure from Nathan Morecambe there. That's the battle for 9th place at present. As you said, Heimgartner doing a super impressive job in that Subaru in position 6. Here's Morecambe chasing the Audi.
Talk about chasing. There's some chasing going on here. Jimmy Vernon is fighting with Michael Armand there, who's also probably that Astron Tech Hyundai is faster than where it is in the field because of that drama yesterday where he had to make a mid-race pit stop for the bonnet pins on that car to be reaffixed. Heimgartner here, fighting with Aaron Cameron, the number 2 Volkswagen Golf GTI, the young gun from Victoria, who's come from Super Utes and Toyota 86s, on board with Chris Pither, the reigning Super 2 Series champ, former main game Supercars driver, been out of the saddle this year. The TCR program in Renault with Gary Rogers Motorsport has got him back in the game. He's position 8 at the moment. We come around to end lap 2, and it's still Dylan O'Keefe who's just snuck away. It's like we've rewound and replayed the race from yesterday, because Delberto and Brown did this exact thing and these things for 3 or 4 or 5 laps as Brown shows the nose at 1. We know what he wants to do. He wants to get to turn 2 and go down the inside. Tries it again. Tony, wake up. No way. Block the road.
Oh, what big from Brown, and wants to be ideally placed for the next one. He wants to do it better than he did on the last lap. Can he get through this time? Brown, that's aggressive. He's there, up into second place now.
He did the reconnaissance mission the last time around, Greg. Then he got it done that time. He had enough car in the gap that Tony couldn't cover him off. Now he's got to put his head down. Go hunting. Dylan O'Keefe, 2 seconds is the margin. The Alfa Romeo, run by Ash Seaward Motorsport as a satellite operation from Gary Rogers Motorsport. He drove for this team in Carrera Cup. He's now driving for GRM in Super 2, and he works at GRM during the week. So he's kind of got a foot in both camps, really, in both of those teams on a TCR weekend. On board with Tony Delberto in the Civic Type R. And now the big game comes into play, Greg. In these cars, front-wheel drive. So the front wheels are turning, they're driving, they're doing it all. So, and they're braking as well. So the load's going through those front Michelins. Yesterday, I spoke to John Martin earlier in the day. He said he didn't have much tyre left at all. He probably had a couple of laps left and he was in big trouble. So the Hondas this weekend, they've been working on the prescribed setups that have been recommended from overseas, but it hasn't really related to the Australian condition to this track. So they've had to be a little bit conservative in the way they set up the front tyres in that car.
Delberto looked like he was maxed out. You could hear it sort of chirping on the tyres, couldn't you, as he came down into turn 8 there. He sits in position 3. Seconds look like it's a better outing, this one, for his teammate John Martin, who's in position 5 as well. We go back and look at Jimmy Vernon, Nathan Morecambe. Rick Broiker's in there as well in the Audi. Matt Stone to the right of your screen. That operation has representation in so many different classes in Australian motorsport now, from TCM to supercars, and now an involvement here.
Super 2, Super 3. Does that man ever rest? Do they have weekends off at Matt Stone Racing?
I think it runs in the family.
Yeah, there's something in that, I think, just quite. We saw the second of those cars, Alexandra Whiteley just going through a shot in the background. Michael Armand here, the Astron Tech Hyundai. But let's go back to the lead. Dylan O'Keefe, number 9. Alfa Romeo. Will Brown second, number 30 Hyundai. Delberto in the Honda. Then Jason Wright. There's John Martin, Heimgartner, Aaron Cameron, Chris Pither, Nathan Morecambe, Jimmy Vernon from 16th to 10th. And there's Alex Rouleau in the Castrol Holden Astra, being run by Kelly Racing. The youngest man to ever win a touring car race in Australia. Super 3 as it's now known. He was 14 a couple of years ago at Winton. He feels like a veteran. He feels like he's been around forever. He's 18 these days.
Brown, fastest in the first sector, fastest in the second sector, and he's been able to reduce the margin to under a second now. O'Keefe leads the way from Brown, Delberto, Jason Bright, Martin and Heimgartner, who you saw come through there in the Subaru. We need a break. We'll come back with more live here in the Car Sales TCR Australia Series at Sydney Motorsport Park.
Will Brown just sets the fastest lap of the race, 1:34.84, new lap record for TCR, faster than we ran in yesterday's race. He's hacked that margin to Dylan O'Keefe. It's down to 0.6 of a second that time across the line. We're on lap 5 of 16 in race 2 for the Car Sales TCR Australia Series. Here is what I was talking about. Will Brown's coming into the game in the Hyundai now. I'd be a little concerned here. How much has he used up to shrink that margin to the Alfa? And has Dylan O'Keefe been able to just relax a little bit and save the last lap or 2 of tyre? Because I reckon there's a cliff with these cars and with these tyres. In the last 2 or 3 laps, 16-lap race, if you've used them up, you're going to fall short.
Brown's a guy that is with the Erebus team for the endurance races. He's regularly in race cars. You've detailed that before. He looked pretty knackered when he got out of that car yesterday. He said they're physical, you're busy. And again, he's pushing, he's working hard here. The key asset for these two guys, and I think you've half touched on it already, is what they bring to the table from all that variety of experience. It really helps them, doesn't it? That match fitness.
And that's a good point you were mentioning too. The drivers are really rung out because the cars, you've really got to get up on the wheel in them. And the heat, there's plenty of warmth inside these cars. It doesn't really go away. Brown's tucked in here. He's got a toe on the Alpha down this front straight, this long front straight at Sydney Motorsport Park. It'll be all about turn one, but he hasn't been able to stick in the toe. That Alpha is pretty handy in a straight line, and they've pulled away. Fair margin back to D'Alberto in third, who's got Jason Bright right with him. Then John Martin, Andre Heimgartner sixth in the Subaru, who's kind of got his own race going at the moment. But this is where the fight is, and it's for the most important position on the road at the moment.
O'Keefe, when he finished fourth yesterday, said he learnt a lot about where the Alpha is relative to others. And I think you just saw a little bit of that then. It's pretty handy on the main straight here. But then the Hyundai comes into its own around the back here, through turns 2, 3 and 4, I should say. And that's terrific, isn't it?
That's what makes a category like this so interesting to watch. We jump on board with the other of the HMO Customer Racing Hyundais. Nathan Morecambe at the helm, position 9. We're looking forward at Chris Pither in the Renault Megane from Gary Rogers Motorsport. And that is Rick Royker's putting a move there in the black Audi. Down the inside with Jimmy Vernon, who's having quite a fight. They're on the tail of the top 10. So Vernon got to that part of the field really quickly because he hasn't been able to carry on up the order. We saw Rick Roykers last night about to leave the track. Poor man, he's jet lagged. He was at Silverstone last weekend for a GT race. I think it was about 5:30, 6 o'clock. He was talking to his engineer, Eric Pender, and he looked like a man who just needed to go to bed.
And the team are saying obviously there'll be a different driver, most likely, at the next round of the championship at Phillip Island. You reckon that phone might ring hot during the next week?
You reckon it hasn't already? I'm sure there's plenty of people lining up to get involved. And Rick Roykers is a young Dutchman who is very successful in GT racing and has been a great addition this weekend. Here's the fight at the front. O'Keefe and Brown, they've cleared away from the field. And they've got quite a margin. It's a real one-on-one fight here in race 2.
Nice to have you with us here at Sydney Motorsport Park, and this is ramping up the battle for the lead. Race 2 of the Car Sales TCR Australia Series. Will Brown has the fastest lap of the race. Roykers looks like he's in trouble there in the Audi. But we go back to the battle up in front. Will Brown really applying, keeping that pressure. The Alpha seems to have the advantage on the straight, but around this part of the circuit, around the opening few corners and Corporate Hill here, Will Brown comes into his own.
He has been really quick in this Hyundai. Watching on is David Wall, who runs the 2 Honda Civics. He's got cars in 3rd and 5th at the moment, but 1 and 2 are the Alpha and the Hyundai. There's Tony D'Alberto, 3rd spot. Jason Bright with him, yesterday's race 1 winner. John Martin in the 2nd Honda. There's Andre Heimgartner, the Subaru. The red car is Aaron Cameron on board the Volkswagen. Chris Pither, Nathan Morecambe, Jimmy Vernon. This is the number 7 Alpha of Vernon. That is the top 10 as they run. We'll head down the lane with Cameron.
The question's being asked, did he use too much tyre? That is Will Brown trying to catch up to the back of Dylan O'Keefe. I've spoken to the team and they said they had an issue yesterday late in the race. The last 2 laps, the tyre really fell away, but they've concentrated on a setup for late race pace, so he will be strong to the end.
And I'm just watching on with Baz Hay. This battle is sensational, that is for sure. He's looking very, very quick, Dylan O'Keefe. Obviously, those changes you made overnight paid off.
Yeah, it's a combination of things. We're trying to get a handle of the car. Like everybody is in pit lane at the moment, and we're pretty lucky. Like the Alpha's a really good little car to work with. So that's very responsive to what we're trying. So I think the team and the boys are doing a really good job, but without a doubt, Dylan's doing a fantastic job out there. Like, he got a cracking start, and he's really, like, Will Brown's no slouch at all. He's all over him, and yeah, Dylan's still hanging in there. So that's what we need to see more of, and more close racing like this. Like, if it's like this all year, it's going to be pretty interesting.
It certainly will be. Thanks, Baz.
Thank you.
It's pretty rare that you hear a team manager wanting a close race. Normally they want to run away and win it by a country mile. I think Barry Hay is probably a unique breed of his own. There's not too many people in the pit lane who would have a view like that when they get all competitive and the race pace comes on. We're on lap 8 at the moment, so half race distance. Will Brown keeping this pressure on Dylan O'Keefe, and we saw Brown yesterday finish 3rd, but he he dropped back in the latter stages of the race into the clutches of Dylan O'Keefe, and they came to have a look at that Hyundai after the race, and they found that the oil catch filler tank had overfilled and was pouring a little bit out onto the front tyres, hence why a bit of a grip went away. Doesn't help when there's oil on the tyres. Alexandra Whiteley off the road, and that looks like it's down at turn 6, I'd say, and she's just gone in far enough that the front wheels are in the gravel.
Will we see safety car here?
Oh, well, she's not moving that under her own power. She's going to need some help there. Leaders have just crossed the line to end lap 8, and this will bring everyone else back into the game. If we get the Hyundai safety car going onto the track, we are going to have it all closed right back up, but I can't see how we can't, because Alexandra Whiteley on board that Actron Air Volkswagen is not going to be able to move it under her own power. And in fact, the safety car will come out now to close up. So Tony D'Alberto, Jason Bright back in the game. All that work that O'Keefe and Brown did earlier on goes out the window, and here is the Volkswagen, the Kiwi-based Queenslander, who's been a winner in the New Zealand V8 Ute Series and started racing a little bit late in life, but has been doing all sorts of racing in all sorts of cars. But she is buried at the moment in the gravel. Safety car is on the road here at Sydney Motorsport Park. A chance for us to draw a breath. Stay with us. More action when we come back.
So safety car is on circuit. We're delighted to have you with us wherever you're tuning in right around the world. Don't forget, as a part of the Shannons Nationals live stream, or perhaps if you're watching through the TCR Australia website, we'd love your comments, your feedback. Greg Ruston, Aaron Noonan with you. In the pit lane is Emma Francesco and Cameron Vandendungen. Of course, the race being led by Dylan O'Keefe from Will Brown and Tony D'Alberto. But we now get, it's been busy, frantic for them. Now we reset, we compress, and it'll be a case of, when those tyres cool off a little bit, who's brave enough in the opening lap or two again until we get them back up to the ideal temperatures.
The good thing is no one really knows what they're doing. This is the first ever safety car in TCR Australia. Got a weekend of firsts here. We're 9 laps into this 16-lap race, so a chance to have a little bit of a breather, close the field up. Just wanted to cover off a point too. James Moffat's down in 16th place and had a report through that he may have had some contact earlier on from another car that put him off the road and has put him to the back. So at least he gets his way back up to the tail of the queue of cars. Dylan O'Keefe is the leader in the Alfa Romeo. Will Brown is second in the Hyundai. Tony D'Alberto third in the Honda. Jason Bright fourth in the Volkswagen. John Martin fifth in the second of the Honda Civic Type Rs. Then Andre Heimgartner in a Subaru, Aaron Cameron in a Volkswagen, Chris Pither in a Renault. It's like a car yard at the moment. We've got a bit of everything out there. Alexandra Whiteley is out of the gravel and will be able to rejoin at the tail of the queue. In case now of clearing away all the gravel from the front splitter. These cars have a really significant splitter section underneath the front bumper bar that you only see the lip bits out of the front, but if you see the teams pull them off when they're cleaning them or servicing the cars, they're actually a fairly deep unit that goes back in under that front bumper bar section. Inside the Hyundai i30N of Nathan Morecambe, he sits position 9, so he hasn't been able to really work his way through. Kind of dropped off the cliff on tyres yesterday in that car and slipped back in the order in the last third of the race, and as we covered off earlier, had a 5-second post-race penalty added on to his time, so he dropped from 8th to 9th. So progressive grip is kind of where he stays. He hasn't really done any progressing in this race. Back at Sydney Motorsport Park, the car sales TCR Australia Series. We are under safety car at the moment. Alexandra Whiteley's Volkswagen has been off the road in the gravel. She's managed to get out of there and removed and onto the back of the queue behind the field. You are under the safety car here. Aaron Noonan and Greg Rust with you. Emma Francesco and Cameron Vandendungen patrolling the pit lane for this second race of the opening weekend of this new series. The first of 2 races this afternoon here on SBS. And Dylan O'Keefe on board the number 9 Alfa Romeo will be our leader when we get a restart.
How come you didn't say the full name then?
Alfa Romeo Giulietta Veloce.
Well done.
Is that good?
Well done. Very good. I need to spend some time
It takes a long time to say the full thing, Greg. Hey, you know what we're getting now? Restart. Green flags are out. Time to get going at Sydney Motorsport Park. Dylan O'Keefe in the Alfa, Will Brown in the Hyundai, Tony D'Alberto in the Honda, Jason Bright in the Volkswagen. It's great variety. We're off and rolling again. Down to turn 1. John Martin covering it off. Boy, they're getting aggressive. Nathan Morecambe showing the nose in the background. We jump on board. The number 11 Hyundai working the wheel at the fast turn 1. That was wild. Now they've got a little bit of a chance to get moving. Heimgartner makes a move. The Subaru to P5. He started from 10th.
The restart is key there. Now, don't forget, of course, the driving standards advisor, Alex Davis, into this series laid down the law with some of the competitors on Friday in the briefing. No overlapping until the control line. You've got to say, Heimgartner executed that perfectly up to 5th in the Subaru, and Morecambe was mighty by the time they got to the control line.
Look at Aaron Cameron there, the Volkswagen, trying to dive on John Martin and make a move on board with Chelsea Angelo. There's James Moffat, the Renault. He had contact in the early part of this race and was put off the road, so he's trying to fight his way back. What a tough weekend it's been for James Moffat. Didn't even get to start yesterday's race with a failure on the grid, so he's trying to force his way back up through the order. On board Chelsea Angelo, contact up in front, and that's her teammate Alex Rullo in the other Astra, who had a little bit of contact there with Rick Breukers on board the Audi. Everyone getting themselves back up and rolling after that safety car period. Heat back in the tyres, heat back in their brains, and trying to really press on for this final part of the race. Emma is in the lane.
Guys, update on car number 22, Rick Breukers. Yeah, you'll notice that he's dropped down the field significantly. Spoke to Lee Burley, telling me he's got damage to the rear left steering. Starting 5th, now sitting in 13th.
There's no way to welcome the international guest visitor to TCR Australia, isn't it, when all these drivers gang up on him. 11 laps down, 5 to go. Out front, O'Keefe and Brown. They've just skipped away. The young guns are really going for it today.
Look at
Morecambe,
look at Morecambe.
Trying to put it down the inside on Aaron Cameron. He's going to get a chance at turn 2 because the Volkswagen has gone wide down the inside. And look out, Michael Armand's trying to come for the ride as well. In fact, he might get a 2-for-1 deal here.
Armand rides the ripple strip, but Morecambe manages to get it done. Cameron handles that whole situation pretty well, and Breukers has absolutely got his hands full with Chris Pither fighting with one arm behind his back, more or less, as Emma just detailed there a moment ago.
This is still going side by side. Armand out wide. He'll be on the inside for turn 5. We jump on board with Chris Pither in the Renault. That action is just up in front that we were seeing. Door open. James Moffat, his teammate in the other Renault, down the inside. The door's open. They're all just driving on through. Armand's finally got this move. Well, he's sort of done because Cameron's still there. Side by side for 4 corners. How good is this? Great stuff in TCR Australia. That safety car's brought this race back to life.
Close it out on Moff for you guys. An incident put him further to the back, as you mentioned, Noons. The car is good underneath him. Richard Holloway on the radio said they're happy with his pace. It's just unfortunate he got put back because of that contact early.
He's position 12 now, Cam. He's starting to work his way through. We've got 2 packs here at the front. O'Keefe and Brown, the 2 young guns, are fighting for the win. D'Alberto and Bright are fighting for that final spot on the podium. Will Brown trying to tuck up in the slipstream, but Rusty, this Alpha is pretty good in a straight line.
I love the fact that D'Alberto and Bright seem to have made a little bit of ground on these two. So while they've been battling, what's the state of the tyres like? Look at D'Alberto, wide as you can through one, but holds on to that 3rd position. And Morecambe at the restart, we saw how aggressive he is through turn 1, up into 7th place. Great stuff.
They're back in the 1 minute 37 second bracket, Greg. Earlier on, Will Brown set a new lap record of 1:34.8. O'Keefe's fastest lap was a 35. D'Alberto and Bright's fastest lap, 36. The more experienced drivers not going as hard early on. Brown shows the nose at 5. He's in the gap this time, but the Alpha's equal to the task. Now it's a race to the next corner. Will Brown will have the inside. He's got enough overlap there that if he sticks with it, he'll get this done. Change for the lead. The Rondo Hyundai takes over the front running. Will Brown has worked and worked and worked, and he's finally got it done. But look at this. D'Alberto's creeping up. Bright's creeping up. The experienced heads who sat back early on, got a free ride with the safety car. They're not out of the fight.
Listen to it. Maxed out on brakes. Tony D'Alberto in that Honda Civic Type R down at turn 8. We see a replay. The car sales replay of the decision, the move by Will Brown to grab the race lead. A couple of fast young racers, Dylan O'Keefe, Will Brown up in front. As Aaron said, the experienced Tony D'Alberto, Jason Bright, both winners in various ways in supercars. Bright, of course, the 98 Bathurst winner. D'Alberto, the reigning Australian GT champion. So worth watching over these final 4 laps.
And Brown's clearing away. He's got the move done on O'Keefe and he's gone. He's going to build margin and try to get home and grab a win. He had a A breakthrough win in the Super 2 Series at Barbagallo in Perth just recently. Remember, he's an endurance driver for Erebus with Anthony Pasquale for the Supercars endurance races. He's got a good margin here. 3 laps to go at Sydney Motorsport Park. And this is one of the teams, the HMO Customer Racing team, that was one of the first to put their chips down, to get in a TCR, to order these Hyundai i30Ns and get them out to Australia. They might just end up being well rewarded in this second race of the new season. On board with D'Alberto, the Wall Racing Civic Type R. Here's Heimgartner, P5. He said he was going to send it on the grid with Cameron. I think you could say, you could consider it sent.
Well, you could argue that relative to what the Hyundai has done on the global stage in this formula of racing, the Subaru may not have looked like the ideal thing to have, but Heimgartner has absolutely done a super job here, extracting the most from that car. Beautiful stuff.
It's not as fast as those other cars. He has had to pick it up and carry it this weekend. The Subaru, remember, these are all front-wheel drive. It's not a four-wheel drive Subaru WRX like we see on dirt and in other forms of production car racing and the like. Everything in TCR must be front-wheel drive. Back on board with Nathan Morecambe. Now in 7th. He's picked up a couple of spots. Michael Armand here in 8th. Not a bad fight back from further back in the field. Chris Pitt of the Renault, we're just watching out our commentary box window, has rolled in a pit lane. So that's a real shame. GRM still learning these cars. 2 laps to go in race 2, and Will Brown has built the margin to 2 seconds. He just put 1.2 seconds on Dylan O'Keefe in that lap alone.
Find out what's going on there in a moment for the Development Series champion, Chris Pither. Just the onboard a moment ago too of Nathan Morecambe, seemed more traditional in the way that he was driving the car. A lot of left foot braking in this class, but coming through the final few turns, he didn't seem to be attacking it that way. Brown, 1.9 seconds over O'Keefe, then D'Alberto and Bright. Counting down to the finish of this one, we get a very short break in between, not a lot of time for the teams before we reset, go for the final race of the weekend, and there's a little more incentive in race 3, some extra points. 40 points up for grabs for the winner of race 2 here. In race 3, it's 50.
And remember, there's an incentive for the entire season. There's a prize pool in TCR Australia of $250,000. The champion gets 100 grand at the end of 7 rounds and 21 races. Will Brown in control with a lap and a half to go.
Spither in the lane you saw before, guys, lost battery voltage. Bruin Beasley on the radio for him. Interesting to see him normally in Erebus colours, currently in GRM colours.
Yeah, Bruin's going to run the GRM TCR program, Cam, so they've got 4 cars with the 2 Renaults and also 2 Alphas that they're connected to. So here are the leaders. Jason Bright, P4, winner yesterday, hasn't been able to do anything about Tony D'Alberto, hasn't quite been able to have a crack at the Honda. 1 to go this time. Will Brown's built the margin. This kid is the real deal. Toyota 86, 1 in it. Formula Ford, 1 in it. Formula 4, 1 in it. Super 2, just 1 in it. TCR might be just about to win in it.
And he's got great personality to boot. He's a country lad, and always with a bright smile on his face. Was driving in the rental car to the track yesterday and spotted Gary Rogers and I think it was Greg Crick, wasn't it? Were they walking to the track?
Walking to the track.
To the circuit.
I reckon there was 10 people who saw them walking and kept driving, but it was Will who stopped and picked them up.
Hey, would you like a lift? Nice work. Right now he leads the way, has the fastest lap of the race. We're on the run home in race 2 of Car Sales TCR Australia. Is Hyundai, is young Will Brown about to take his first victory? He's got 2.4 seconds over Dylan O'Keefe. For now, it seems assured. We go back to Andre Heimgartner battling for 5th place with John Martin in the 2nd of the Hondas.
And Armand's putting move here on Morecambe down the inside. They're both in Hyundais, but from different teams. Garth Walden Racing for Armand, HMO Customer Racing for Morecambe in the Rondo number 11 car. So that's a change of spot. Position 7 is now Michael Armands. He started from deep in the pack. He started from 15th after having a pit stop yesterday for a loose bonnet. So it's a good fight back. He's back in the game. You start the next race where you finish this one. So he's got himself rolling. We're on our way home. The checkered flag is ready. And it's Will Brown who's going to get the job done.
It sure is. Super performance. We thought it might have been an Alpha taking victory to start this one, but the youngster who had success in Western Australia in another class just a few weeks ago, is a winner in TCR Australia in the Hyundai. Well done, Will Brown. Dylan O'Keefe home second. The youngsters up in front, and the experienced Tony D'Alberto finds himself in the top 3 for the second day in a row.
The second part of the top 10 is really close. Jimmy Vernon here in the second of the Alphas. He'll finish 9th from down the back of the grid. Good drive from him. Aaron Cameron right on his hammer. Good gaggle of 5 cars there. A bit of everything. There's Alphas, there's Volkswagens, there's Audis, there's Renaults, there's Astras. Bit of everything. But up front, it's a Hyundai that you need to have, because Will Brown, podium yesterday, race win today, race 3 still to come. And this kid just delivers in anything and everything. He's got the right attitude. He's just so amiable. He is really good value. And he is, tell you what, just winning in everything that he puts his backside in.
Joined Erebus for the Enduros last year and really applied himself. Soaked up everything, didn't he, from that point of view. So Brown and O'Keefe, 1 and 2. 3 seconds in the end was the margin between the Hyundai and the Alfa Romeo. Honda in the top 3 with Tony D'Alberto. Look at the mix of marks there in the top 10. Great stuff.
The variety is one of the great things about Car Sales TCR Australia Series. Aaron Cameron, the youngster, getting an opportunity. He was the last driver confirmed for this weekend. He's done a nice job. Rick Broiker slipped back in the field, the Audi P11. The Renault of James Moffat 12th, in the 2 Astras. Molly Taylor in 15th, and Alexandra Whiteley was off the road for a time. Of course, the safety car, but she managed to get back on the road and finish position 16, 1 lap down on the leaders. Chris Pither, the only retirement in the Renault. Let's take a look at the highlights of race 2, and off the front of the grid, it was Tony D'Alberto from the outside of the front row in the Honda that got it running best to turn 1. He took the lead from poleman Jason Bright, and Will Brown, he was pretty keen to get to the front. Used a bit of grass, a bit of curb, a bit of dirt to get through on Tony D'Alberto, and then he zeroed in on Dylan O'Keefe on board the number 9 Alfa Romeo. He had a couple of cracks at it. Highly competitive. This was a drama. Alexander Whiteley off the road, bogged. Actron Air Volkswagen was stuck. That caused the safety car. We've got to restart it. Nathan Morgan was keen to get a move on Aaron Cameron. Showed the nose at turn 1. Had to carry it on down to turn 2. This was the pass that was a change for the lead. Will Brown chipped away after the safety car. He got it done. Past Dylan O'Keefe and was able to drive away. Don't you reckon they liked it there at HMO Customer Racing? His dad Shane on the left there, Barry Morecambe in the middle, and out front he was able to drive away. The winning margin in the end, 3.16 seconds, fastest lap of the race comfortably. The only car in the 1 minute 34s, and Toowoomba's own Will Brown gets the win. He is down there now with a Michelin cap on, and Emma Francesco standing by.
Will Brown, add this to your very long list of achievements. You are the winner of race number 2 for the Car Sales TCR Australia Series. Well done.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. They made me work for it. It was a great battle and actually an awesome race. Loved every second of it. I'm a bit hot, actually. I'm going to have to get a cool suit or something in this thing. But, no, it was awesome. Just can't thank the guys from HMO Customer Racing enough. The car's great, and just having a ball out there, actually. And Dylan and all the boys were racing awesome. Me and Tony got into it again, so can't wait for the next one.
You promised Cam at the start of this that you were going to send it. You did for sure a great move earlier on Dylan O'Keefe.
Yeah, definitely. We thought we'd have a crack this session, which we did last one, but yeah, got a couple of good moves in and just excited to race against these guys. It's a good pedigree of drivers and having a ball.
This trophy is yours. Well done. The winner for race number 2, Will Brown. Rusty?
I reckon, judging by the look on Dylan O'Keefe's face, it's a mix of emotions, isn't it? Because you went so close to winning, but at least you're on the podium today. Congratulations.
Yeah, that was a tough fight for us. The car was quite racy at the start, and made some couple of moves at the second corner on Tony, and was pretty aggressive, and then thought it paid off, just tried to build a gap. I think the safety car hurt us a little bit with the tyres. I feel if that didn't come out, probably would have had a car to contend with Will, but yeah, it was too quick for us in that one.
You look like it's been physically taxing for you, but your execution of the start was superb. It was a joy to watch. Well done.
Yeah, the start was excellent, but it's super hot in there. These cars are actually really physical with the glass windows. It's super hot. No airflow from outside apart from the window, so thanks.
You chased hard yesterday. You went within a whisker of the podium today. There is a trophy for you, Dylan O'Keefe. Congratulations. Nice work.
Cheers. Thank you.
Tony D'Alberto, you were just having a chat with me saying these young blokes, God, they're doing a great job, but great to see a very competitive field.
Oh, it actually, the racing then really spiced up and the tempo went up quite a bit. I got a really good start then, and then just had a moment at turn 2 where I lost the rear, and Dylan was able to get up the inside, and yeah, credit to those guys, they made some good moves, and we just didn't quite have the pace. I feel as though we had a better car over the distance, but at the start when the tyres were good, we just couldn't use it. So anyway, we'll learn again and go to race 3 and hopefully get another podium.
And there's a trophy for you, mate. 2 podiums already this weekend. Good luck for the next one. News.
Good stuff, Emma. Great to see Will Brown, Dylan O'Keefe and Tony D'Alberto. 1, 2, 3. Hyundai, Alfa Romeo and Honda rounding out the top 3. You know what? We get to do all over again this afternoon on SBS. Stay with us. Race 3, not too far away.